Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This shir is entitled Fear of Death Part 2. We left off the first shir with a question. Rambam says that Yaakov had a flaw. Despite that, he had prophecy anyway. And his flaw was his fear of Esav. Commentaries say, what was the flaw in that? The Gemara justifies the fear that maybe God's promise to protect Yaakov is no longer applicable. Maybe he sinned or something like that, Yaakov, and he didn't deserve the promise anymore. So his fear of death of Esav was legitimate. Chesed Avram asked the question, doesn't answer it. Hanan Wasserman has a very interesting answer. He says that it's true, the Gemara explained why the promise of protection possibly may have lost its statute of limitations. Maybe it no longer applies. That's true that that's gone. And therefore, he cannot have bitachon, assumption, faith in that promise. But maybe Yaakov should have had bitachon in Hashem, that Hashem will save him. Not because of a promise, but because the bitachon itself. By having bitachon and confidence in Hashem that Hashem will save him, that will give him the salvation. That's Rav Hanan Wasserman's approach. And he didn't have that, and therefore the Rambam criticizes Yaakov. It definitely is an approach. It's very much up the alley of Rav Dessler, of Shmulevitz, and others who embrace that bitachon approach, that by having bitachon, that itself is going to guarantee you safety. I am not convinced that the Rambam holds and subscribes by such a shita. And I'd like to offer another possibility in the Rambam, that maybe the Rambam holds. Now, what was the flaw? He didn't know if he's going to die. There was no guarantee. The promise from Hashem, it could be it's applicable, it could be not. Yaakov was humble enough to realize he may not have divine protection and he may die. It's totally a legitimate possibility. There's nothing wrong with Yaakov assuming that. What I'm wondering is that for Yaakov, the issue was he was afraid of death. Yeharei, that he will get killed. And that's what the Rambam is harping on, that point. Why is Yaakov afraid of death? And here's a challenging point to think about. A great tzaddik, does he have a fear of death? What's the fear of death? We live whatever amount of years that Hashem gives us. We try to develop ourselves and grow, become better human beings, to contribute to Klal Yisrael, to our family, to our community, and ourselves, of course, to grow, spiritual growth. We do the best we can. And then Hashem ends the life whenever he ends it, and hopefully we merit Olam Haba, eternal existence of the soul, and Tchiyat HaMeitim, and that's it. The fact is, there's a very, very deep fear of death that everyone has. People are attached to this world. This is what we know. This is what we recognize. This is our familiar grounds are in this world. We value the physical world. And the idea that we're going to be gone from it one day is petrifying for most of mankind. But it could be that Yaakov Avinu should have been on a level where he was able to overcome this deep-seated fear. And a great tzaddik doesn't need to have fear. Doesn't need to fear death. You're living your life. You're doing what you're supposed to do. Why are you I might die, I'm afraid of death. You want to be sad that people are going to miss you, sad that Klal Yisrael will need you more. Okay, that's sad. But the fear of death that we all have, Yaakov should have overcome that. And maybe that's what the Rambam is saying, that he should have overcome that and not have that feeling, oh my gosh, I might die now. What's the fear? What's the fear, Yaakov? But tzaddik lives his life, sees the greatness in this world, sees limitations of this world, sees that it's just a temporary place, a passageway, as our Masorah tells us, and he moves on with no fear. So maybe that's what the Rambam's point is. My question for shir number 3 is, did he overcome that fear? Do we see any psukim that indicate one way or another? We'll explore that in part 3. Shalom.